Recording in
None? Voice vote acceptable, Counselor? You want a roll call?
Roll call, please.
Okay, I have a motion to adopt the minutes as submitted.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Do I have support for his motion?
Support.
Mr. Yurick, thank you. Is there further discussion on the motion? Clerk, may call the roll.
Mr. Eber.
Yes.
Mr. Burzak, or Ms. Burzak, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Ulrich,
Yes.
Ms. Rice.
Yes.
Ms. Porter,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Chair Hartzell.
Yes.
Motion is approved.
All right, next item on the agenda, new business. Public hearing regarding the property located at 315 Lake Boulevard. Open the public hearing. Is there somebody here to speak to this proposal? Somebody here from the applicant? Please come forward and tell us who you are and what you're requesting from us today, if you would, please.
Hi there, good evening. My name is Peter Rinks. I'm from the Rinks Group. We're in Granger, Indiana. We're here today seeking a special use permit for height variance at our new project that we're going to talk about on Lake Boulevard. And I do want to draw attention, there was a revised site plan and that should be in your packets in front of you. Clicker, who's doing the slides? Okay, great. I'll point at you then. Okay.
Just, Ms. Burzak, I'm sorry.
So I should clarify something. I do work for Abenmarsh. I have
Okay.
not been involved with this project at all. I work out of the Benton Harbor office. The packet that I was given is the first time that I've seen these. I have no personal gain. I'm not a company owner or anything like that. So I don't feel it's a conflict for me whatsoever.
All right, thank you. Council, any issue?
Ms. Burzak and I did discuss this before, and I just want to ask a few other questions to make
Sure.
sure it's clear on the record. Do you have any ownership interest in Abenmarsh?
No,
Would you have any financial gain or loss as a result of this project going or not?
No.
Does your decision on this have any impact on your job at Abenmarsh?
absolutely not.
Do you have any supervision over this project in any
No.
way? Any involvement in this project in any way?
No,
And can your job be affected by your vote in this project in any way?
no.
And you stated it's a separate office that's actually involved in this?
It's the South Bend
We're
office,
working with
correct?
the South Bend office, and I can attest I've never met Mrs. Burzak as well.
And, will your employment at Abenmarsh have any impact on your decision, your stay?
No,
You believe you can make a fair and impartial decision based on what's been presented to you?
yes,
Um, So just to be clear, we did discuss this before. I looked at the bylaws that have been adopted by the planning commission and the law as well, and there is no legal conflict or violation of bylaws for example.
But disclosure was warranted because of her employment.
yes. And sorry, I
Best
didn't,
practice. Yeah, no
sorry I
question.
interrupted you.
No,
That's
thank
fine.
you.
All right, go right ahead.
Great. Well, I want to walk you through the project. Just take a few minutes, to share a little bit about the journey we've been on and share the details of it. So, next slide, please.
Put a little button right lower.
In general, what the project is, it's a 100 unit building. It has 68 apartments and 32 condos. It will also feature a courtyard roof deck on the second floor for the residents of the building. And then it will have about 10,000 square feet of retail space on the first floor. And it will have 100, at a minimum, 157 parking spaces. That's required by the city, 100 units for the residents, and 57 units of public parking to replace the public parking component that we're taking from the city lot. Currently, we're at about 180, the engineering showing that we're going to fit 180 parking spaces in the building, which is going to be a net positive for the city. Anything over 100 units will be for public parking in the underground parking garage. Next slide, please. So the timeline for the project, we're in Q3 right now. We're soft close. We have both pieces of property under contract, one purchase agreement with the city and the other with the property owner of the grass lot. And then we have commenced with full architecture and engineering. You'll see the zoning and site plan information They've been hard at work at that, and then we're also working on the interior spaces as well as the parking garage and the structure components of it. Our goal is to close on the equity and loans at the first part of 2026 and commence construction in the second quarter of 2026. We do anticipate a 2-year construction window and be open for business in the second quarter of 2028. And then it should take about a year to get it fully stabilized, leased up and occupied. Next slide, please. For a project like this, it's a $55 million project, and it's really important that we work with a general contractor that has experience building these types of building. Horizon Construction Group has been doing a lot of work in the Michiana area. They've got a great track record. They are a top 50 national builder of multifamily units, and they can point to 100 other projects just like this that they've built all across the country. And so we feel like they're a great partner, and they have a great track record of building on time, on budget, and completing their projects. Next slide. Great. I'm going to toss it over to Terry for the next couple.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Terry Malloy. I'm Director of Development for the Rinks Group. Going to dive into a little bit of the meat of the zoning ordinance, Planning Commission's decision criteria. So first of all, the section 9.4 downtown height overlay district. There are 2 sections that really address what we're after to convince you today, and that we've designed the project for from the beginning. And both of them basically come down to that the project must have a net positive effect on the downtown, the shopping district, and the community as a whole. Next slide, please. So as a preview of net positives, right, and we're going to run through all of these in some form or another. We're revitalizing a vacant lot that has sat empty for almost 20 years. We're going to be beautifying sites along the critically important Lake Boulevard to achieve a use that's higher and better than another parking lot, of which there are several on Lake Boulevard. We're building 100 new housing units for a range of income levels, stimulating the downtown by bringing year-round residents to support local businesses. We'll talk more about that in a bit. Also adding attractive new options to help build the restaurant scene. We've spoken with a number of the restaurateurs in the downtown. All of them are in favor of having more restaurants. Next, providing a net positive in public parking spaces, as Peter had mentioned. And lastly, we're reversing a population decline in a town that has been losing about 100 residents a year since the early 1990s. That hasn't had private new development built in its town in almost 40 years. Next slide, please. So we've been at this for about 1.5 years, where we've been conceptualizing this project. And one of the first things that we turned to was the 2020 master plan that the city had commissioned, and that went out into the community, gathered feedback to determine how best to move forward for St. Joe. And 2 of the main keys were there's a goal to reinforce the downtown's distinct character and sense of place while accommodating desirable infill development, which is exactly what we're doing, and to strengthen the downtown as a vibrant and active year-round mixed-use district. Next slide, please. So all of the yellow sites that you see in that side map, those are all considered primary sites for development. Several of them are along Lake Boulevard, and really throughout the city. But that corridor was really keyed in on by the group that delivered the master plan. As you can see, it says these primary sites have high visibility and are of a size or location that significantly impact downtown, and it substantially increases their desirability for development. Next slide, please. So diving in a little bit to the language, it mentions about these unscreened parking lots that are all along this critically important corridor, that is really not achieving highest and best use for the city and its residents. Ideally, if you look at that last section, it says ideally the city should encourage appropriate infill development of the surface lots that will create a consistent building street wall along the roadway, This will also provide opportunities for new shops, restaurants, mixed-use buildings, and other uses that bring greater excitement to Lake Boulevard. Next slide, please. So 2024, Cornerstone had commissioned a housing study to address the need for both St. Joe and Benton Harbor. In St. Joe alone, over the successive 5 years, starting in 2024, it was determined that there was a need for 900 new housing units to be built in the area. And that breakdown of 525 renter occupied versus, the 375 owner occupied, that's basically the split that we have in this building. This study helped to solidify, our determinations of the project as well. And then luckily it worked out on the financial end too. But, one thing to keep in mind, I've already mentioned that there's been this slow decline of population since the early 1990s. The study also noted that not meeting housing demand leads to kind of a bit of what we're seeing now, which is, this constricted supply where it ends up creating an increase in rents and home prices. There's workforce displacement and out-migration. We've had several conversations with folks who, would love to live in the downtown, don't have an opportunity to because there's so few units available. So they have to, live elsewhere, commute to the city, and, it's obviously something that doesn't lend itself well to increasing the vibrancy of downtown. That's what we're hoping to turn around. Next slide, please. So second study commissioned by Cornerstone Alliance looked at the economic development strategy. So, they too noted there's a lack of available housing and that, constricted supply, regardless, when you have limited supply, any new housing helps, right? And so, we're really trying to have a range there and we know that it'll, then create a ripple effect for, more, people who are able to, kind of fill the vacancies that are left in other housing units as well. And you just end up having a real net positive economically for the area. Next slide. The other thing that the economic development study had pointed out was that right now, we're kind of missing this market opportunity where, with, the creation of new housing units and according to their numbers, if we delivered 100 new units, that really translates into $5.5 million in new consumer spending in the target area. That obviously goes beyond just the downtown, but it's all money that then is contributed to the area and tends to stay in the area. Next slide. So I don't need to get in a whole lot of detail here, but we are targeting market rate housing for the apartments, which means, the average unit will rent for under 120% of area median income. We get all those numbers from the Michigan State Housing Development Authority. They publish these for every county every year. And we could answer questions about that later. But just to illustrate the point that, we're really trying to target, a project that is, for, the residents of downtown. Next slide. Okay, so lastly, there's another section of zoning ordinance to call our attention to, the general standards of the basis of determination. So Peter's going to talk a bit more about special use as it relates to design, construction, operations, and that, how we're crafting this thing from the beginning to be harmonious with the character of the adjacent property than downtown. And, we are, for that bolded letter B, we are keeping the same use. It's residential over commercial, which is what the downtown overlay district is there for. And so that's what our focus is. Those other items, we do have a team from Admiral Marsh's South Bend office here to answer any questions about the site plan, about public services and facilities. So at the end of the presentation, if there are any questions, we could pull those gentlemen up. But back to Peter now.
Okay, next slide, please. Here's the updated site plan that, it should be in your packet. We'll come back to that a little bit later and answer any specific questions you might have.
Let's clarify one, excuse me for interrupting. This is what's on the dais today, correct? Not what was in the packet. It's
What's
what
in
was
the
left
packet.
on the dais
Yep,
in hard
correct.
copy today, which is different than what was in the packet.
And it was uploaded to the website packet too.
I understand that. This is there were two, yes.
Great.
That,
Okay, next slide. So, want to talk about the design, for a minute. So, St. Joe has some beautiful architecture down here. And when you look at a harmonious design and trying to make something that fits in with the current architecture, you first determine what, classification that is in the existing area. And so the majority of the architecture around here is classified as classical architecture. And it has arches and nice cornices and columns and piers. And it has some ornament to it as well. And so I'll show you some examples of that, but next slide. I would, sorry, go back one slide, I'm sorry. This is the goal with the portico around the front of it. So our goal is to create a more interactive sidewalk space for the residents as they're walking down the sidewalks. This would also prevent any restaurants from encroaching on the sidewalks. They would have a little bit of a dining area, an outdoor dining area, and the residents will kind of be able to weave in and out of the building as they walk around the perimeter. And we plan to have this wrap on Broad, Pleasant, and Lake Boulevard. But next slide. So when looking at trying to come up with a design, we love the Indiana limestone look, and there's a couple great examples of it downtown already with the Wunderlist building as well as the St. Joe Today building. Some great examples of classical architecture, and for our project, we wanted to play off of that and incorporate those elements into our building. So next slide. Here's some other examples. You can see the stone, the ornament. It has nice symmetry in the building, some arches, some weight to it. Next slide. And then here's an example of modern architecture. And so there's definitely an element where building with modern materials is more cost effective than building in a classical style. But it was important to us to respect the beautiful architecture we have already downtown St. Joe, as well as we want to enhance it. We see this lot as being a jewel to our city here. And I was talking with the folks at Avmarsh today. I want our building to win some awards. I think this is going to be one of the coolest buildings in all of Michigan. I want people in Detroit and Traverse City to be talking about the Marquette and make it a destination to come and visit it. And so we did not want anything modern about it. We really wanted to embrace that traditional architecture. So next slide, please. And it shows our building versus kind of a. So we did want to incorporate the stone, the weight, the arches, the columns, the cornices, and there's more to come on that. These renderings aren't able to really depict the detail that's in there, but if you look close, you can start to see the ornament. But we're staying away from these modern elements as much as possible. Next slide, please. It's important to note the height of the building. We're seeking a variance, special use permit to go up to 80 feet tall. That would make it the fourth tallest building downtown. The Lakeview Terrace is 149 feet, the Wickham 115 feet, and the Silver Beach Hotel is 82 feet. And then also worth noting is that the Lighthouse Point condominiums and the Inn at Harbor Shores are both over 80 feet as well. So the Marquette would be the sixth tallest building in St. Joe, but the fourth tallest downtown. Next slide. This shows how the Marquette in the middle sits compared to the other buildings on the skyline. It is worth noting that the Lakeview Terrace does sit at a different elevation. But as far as heights goes, this is how it compares. And it is An important thing, the boulevard is also 7 stories, similar to ours, but we would just be, it'd be just a couple feet taller than the boulevard hotel. Next slide, please. This is a view. You can see the Marquette just there in the background from down below the bluff, from the beach. And then next slide. These are the building elevation showing the overall height and floor plates of the site. Next slide. Here's some more renderings of the exterior architecture. Next slide. These are views from the street. The one on the left is in front of Shoes, looking south. And the other is once you reach the top of the stairs, kind of by the public restroom area, looking north. Next slide. Just some more perspective shots. Next slide.
Yeah,
You got
so, really to kind of wrap up the presentation, wanted to just, give the planning, commission an idea of what we've been up to. So, we knew that we needed to keep our ear to the street and hear, from the people of St. Joe. Peter is up here all the time. He has family up here. And, we both live in South Bend, so we, consider Michiana to, be within region. But for the past 6 months, we've dedicated a day each week to come up to St. Joe and have one-on-one conversations with local residents, business owners, entrepreneurs, and community leaders. And the number of those meetings is probably exceeding 100 at this point. We've presented to and gained support from Cornerstone Alliance, the Downtown Development Authority, St. Joe Rotary, and St. Joe Today. And we've held a public open house at the St. Joe Memorial Library, which had 60 attendees. Additionally, at our last city commission meeting, local supporters of the project sent over 20 letters of support to the city commission for August 25th meeting, and at least 10 members of the public offered strong support in their public comments. Supportive commenters included representatives from Whirlpool, the collective membership of Cornerstone Alliance, and the businesses within our future neighbor building, 505 Pleasant Street. This project has been crafted from the beginning to be a significant net positive to all stakeholders, and we have all the receipts to prove that the vast majority of the community agrees. So, next slide. That's it. Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah,
Right.
this time we'd be happy to answer any questions you have on
Alright.
it. We have Adam Marsh available as well.
All right, let's start with members of the planning commission for our applicant directly. Questions from anyone? Before we give you a chance to sit for a second and start taking public comment, do we have any questions from the
I've
planning?
got
commission?
questions.
Mr. Urick.
This relates to the TIF financing portion of this? the
Yeah,
TIF?
that's a component of it as
Yeah.
well, yes.
Um,
Not
how,
this approval necessarily, but the.
It's a component of the project.
Yeah, it's a component of the project, yes.
how does that work? You said a certain number of apartments will be at 100% of the AMI, and then the other portion will be at 120%.
Yeah.
How does the TIF enter into those calculations?
Happy to answer that and give you more detail. Does that directly apply to the decision that we need to make
Yes,
today?
it's a
Okay.
legitimate question
Sure.
to ask.
Okay,
Yes.
so within the TIF agreement as it stands right now, which is still under discussion, there are 31 of the 68 apartments that will be income restricted. So those will have rents that are set at 100% of area median income, and then the income limits will be 120% for those 31 units. There are 6 units that we will be charging a premium for, but then every other unit, which I think is 34, will be at or below 120% of AMI.
So how does that work with the TIF? That
And
is
the
what my
timeframe on-
question is.
Timeframe on the TIF.
And how long do you expect that to take to get?
So that's still, under negotiation with the city, and we're hoping that the October 27th meeting is when that'll be voted on.
So are you looking at, it's the difference between 120% and 100%? That difference is what will be made up by the TIF?
I'm not, so we have a brownfield consultant on our side and a brownfield consultant on the city side, or that they have one as well. The way that the calculation is made is a little bit more complicated than that. I haven't gotten extremely into the weeds on it. But there is, a calculation set by the state that then applies to, or creates a baseline that then, is worked out with whatever the rent level is offered at, that then becomes part of the total TIF package.
Can you give some perspective as to the amount?
I'm gonna interject right here, if you don't mind, Chair.
Council,
I think there are a lot of components that have to be worked out on some of those details. But I'd encourage you to look at what is before you as far as the special use permit, which is for the height of the building.
I
how that
understand.
Relates, if you have questions relating,
Okay.
this is, what type of housing you're looking at, and that type of thing.
I get it.
But some of the financing components have yet to be worked out, and they really don't come into play as far as the special use permits concerned.
Okay, so here's my perspective. Is part of their justification of going to 80 feet is that they need to do that to make it economically viable.
there you go.
So if it's so this is critical to the decision, is why are we going to 80 feet? Well, you need this massive building in order for this to be economically viable. So it is,
Thank you
that's
for
where
that.
this question
Yeah,
relates to.
and that.
Well, I think that's the
and I
question
think,
he's asking.
I understand your question a little bit more as well in terms of the TIF is actually mainly a component of supporting the project so that to make sure that the units are market rate, that they are affordable for the area median income. So the city is willing to support us in that way. And then it's also supporting us in that way for the public component, the public parking component. The increasing the parking overall downtown is very important to the city. And so the TIF consideration is for those two elements. And then it's also very important for the overall financials of the project to get the density. So we have to get the 100 units, right? If you cut a floor off of it, it's not financially viable anymore. It doesn't get the amount of density that you need in units compared to, all the infrastructure that goes into the site.
I get that. I'm just trying to get some perspective of numbers.
Yep.
So
And
what,
it wouldn't be.
is it
wouldn't
$1
be-
million? Is it $10 million? What kind of TIF financing are you thinking?
Kelly or Lori, I don't know if it'd be wise if I,
Yeah,
said anything
some of
about
those
it.
details just are not set yet, and there's a lot of moving parts right now.
Is the TIF existing, for those that don't do a lot of work with that, is this a creation of a TIF for this project, or is there an existing TIF for which this will apply? Just, can we get that much background?
So the state of Michigan created a residential brownfield TIF to help promote housing. And it can be it can be a regular subdivision with single family homes, or it can be multi-family. So that's part of how they're choosing to, get to their funding levels, is using the TIF. Do you have more to add, Kelly?
You said it pretty much on.
Is there an expiration on it, length of time on it, dates on it?
The length has not been set yet as far as this TIF, so it's, again, these are all the details that we're still fine tuning.
And there's local approval and then there's state involvement too, so there are, again, a lot of components to it.
Thank you.
Are you
there-
still talking about the TIF or not?
No, I got another question.
I guess I just, the comment that I have regarding the TIF is, right, we need to evaluate that the overall benefits outweigh what we're, considering for the taller height. So that's why I wanted to get my head around a TIF is, is this TIF going to be a benefit, providing a benefit, or is this TIF providing a negative impact on the project? So that's why I kind of wanted to get my head around that. That's why I wanted to hope to maybe have some details to understand how it worked for the project and then its impact on the city.
Yeah, I mean,
And-
we could certainly talk about goals, and I appreciate your explanation there, because I think it helps tie that together. Sometimes questions alone don't kind of get to that point. There may be proposals and plans, it's just until things get a little further down the road, we're not gonna know, the city won't know definite you know, if you feel comfortable as far as discussing your plans, your proposals, what your hopes are for that, I mean, there's some tentatives. But again, it's tentative at this time.
Is this TIF that would be applied to this project? Is this the same type of TIF that's going to be a public discussion here in a few weeks, like October 27th?
That's correct.
The
Yep.
same, okay.
Yep. And I would say by definition, a TIF is tax increment financing. So in no scenario would it be a negative impact. So it's a incentive that comes out of the increase in taxes. So there's a baseline that's set what they're currently paying for taxes. And then there's only a certain percentage of the increment that you're eligible to apply for. So there's still a net positive with any TIF circumstance.
Sure.
If that makes sense. So there
That
wouldn't
makes
be a
sense, but
negative.
I'll tell you here's the scenario that I'm trying to get in my head. Let's say there's this TIF goes through and it's something that, if it's something that only lasts for a certain amount of time, say a certain number of years.
Yep.
Okay, if it's a small number of years, oh, well, that can be attractive, right? That means that TIF money isn't going back towards the project, that TIF money is going back to the community. Another detail that I wanted to try to get my head around is, does the TIF apply to the entire tax bill? Like we just paid our summer tax bills. Does it apply to the whole tax bill? Are there millages that don't apply to that? Kind of details like that. Maybe that's things that's going to come out in the public meeting in a few weeks, but that's things that I wanted to get around in my head. If there could be parts of that TIF that would show immediate benefit to the community or when the future benefits would be realized.
Yeah, and it's all being discussed with your local BRA right now. And nothing's been finalized, so it wouldn't be wise for me to pretend that the city's committed to anything that they haven't. And so length can be determined by percentage amounts, and it's all still being considered by the city of St. Joe. So yes, TIF is a component. It will be important to offset the infrastructure costs necessary to make sure that the units are market rate and that we do install this many public parking spaces. We want to install that many public parking spaces. We see the concern and the burden, but the city requires that we install 100 parking spaces for our residents in our building. We're trying to double that and to provide a net positive. And that's a multi-million-dollar expense to the project to provide all those additional parking spaces. And it's a multi-million-dollar expense to provide those apartments at a fixed rate that the residents can afford. And so TIF will be an important part of it. It will be, but there's the mechanism of it is a net positive to the city on day one. And then it will be a huge positive once TIF is done.
Thank you.
Other questions for our applicant from planning commissioners before we start taking public comment?
Okay.
Well, come back. Did you have one? You started,
No, I was just gonna chime in on the TIF. Right now, we have a city-owned parking lot that generates no tax revenue. We have a vacant lot, which I suspect has very little tax revenue. So as Mr. Rinks pointed out, anything on a $55 million project is a plus. Even if the city decides to give away 50% of that increased tax income, it's still way more than we're getting now.
Yeah, I agree. It would just be, if someone was able to tell me with numbers, hey, in 5 years, the schools are going to get an extra $1 million a year, or, whatever the numbers would be, right? That could be, wow, that would be a great benefit for me to, internalize on our review.
Mr. Urich, you had another question directly on different topic.
I do. The public parking, who's responsible for maintaining those spaces?
Yeah, we'll be responsible for maintaining those public parking spaces.
Okay, and is there any conversation about putting meters on those public spaces?
That's still a conversation with the city, how they're going to manage the public parking components. It hasn't been determined.
And let me just finish. So you've got 100 units and you've got 180 spaces, hopefully.
Yep.
Every one of those units probably are gonna take up at least another space. How do you manage that? They're public, but is there a mechanism in which to manage that so that it's actually open to the public and not the tenants? Is there
Yeah,
a way to do that?
if we had a magic ball that told us exactly what the city commissioners plan to do with public parking next year, we could maybe clarify, have some better, understanding of how we're gonna have to treat that.
So
but,
do you own
we
it
plan-
personally or the city owns it? Who owns the parking spaces that you are saying are public?
The public parking spaces are a component of the overall project. They'll be available to the
They
public.
own it.
We're responsible, we own it, we're responsible for maintaining it. Whether, there'll be meters or time restrictions or whatever. I will say, we have the shoulder months, right? Where, there is a 90-day constraint where all parking has pressure there. The residents will only have one designated parking space. There are a fair amount of studio apartments in there. There will be some seasonal residents in there as well. And so there's a blend of, there will be some vacancy and especially in the off-peak months, we expect there to be a gluttony of parking downtown.
Ms. Burzak,
So a lot of my questions are related to the site plan and the architectural plans and things, and you mentioned wanting to do the site plan later. Is
No,
that
yeah, we're ready for
is
any
it
questions.
good to ask that
Please.
now or after the?
ask your questions.
Okay, so a couple questions, I have related to the newest plan with the revised drawing date of 9/30/2025. On the Pleasant Street side, I noticed that the proposed curb cut for the entry exit into the parking area, it does show, that the dash line goes into the additional parking spaces located along, the angled parking located, to the north. Are those parking spaces being removed, or what is that dash line truly representing? And is it then going to eliminate 5 or 6 more spaces that were in that area?
I can ask, Adam to comment what the dash lines are indicating, but I can say affirmatively, we're not losing any of those parking spaces on Pleasant Street.
Okay,
If you're talking, Kathy, are you talking about the dash lines on angle parking on the other side of the street and on Broad?
the side to the, north, where the entrance exit is, there's, a line that runs, actually, it almost appears that the dash line, now maybe that's just, it's hard to read it, 11/17. So maybe that's actually just the dimension line that's pulled over and it doesn't reflect. Cause I noted that on the other sheet that I had previously, that it looked like it was into those spaces, and I didn't know if that clearance was needed in order to pull properly in and out of that garage.
Those dotted lines you're seeing are showing the dimension, the
Okay.
width of the
Just the
curb
width
cut,
of the-
not
of the
indicating
cuts
a,
of the garage.
Okay.
a
All the
structure.
parking on the street that's existing and will not be changed.
Okay, so from a standpoint of vehicular turning templates and all those things, everyone can get in and out of there clearly without impacting the angle parking to the north.
Yes, and we'll
Okay.
finish that study, but that's what the clear vision triangles are for as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then regarding the clear vision triangles on the alley side, it was difficult, I could tell on the Lake Boulevard side at the corners of Broad and Pleasant that the building, and it shows, it's depicted on the renderings that the building is curved to be outside of those clear vision triangles. However, on the Broad and Pleasant, Broad doesn't concern me as much because it's a one-way going north, so you're not going to have the conflicts that you would with vehicular pedestrian. However, on the northeastern corner, it appears that the building is squared off. However, the triangle is within that setback.
And
So,
it's not, the renderings and elevations haven't caught up with the site plan yet. but that corner is a column that is 18-inch in diameter, and the building is set back, so that's all.
So you have clear vision
Clear
through the
vision,
column.
yeah, it's
Oh,
Yeah, you
Okay.
can't see that on the site plan, you have to look at it from when we get the elevations and stuff to catch up, but that's what.
okay, yeah, and I didn't see an elevation that depicted that, so I wanted to ask, the other couple of things, there was mentioned by someone in a letter that we received today, talking about loading zones and how that would be addressed, and I live really close to here, and I frankly do agree with many of the comments because it is, when there are deliveries, and I ride my bike past here every morning going to work, and when there are deliveries to a business that's on Pleasant, they do park in the alley and block it. How might all of this from a loading, and again, you have no, that other business, if they're blocking the alley, that's not your concern, but how will you manage not blocking for unloading, loading, delivery to your restaurant and all of those things? Do you have some kind of a loading area that's
Yes.
not
So
shown yet?
You can't see on you don't have the drawings, but that entry point off of the alley goes into an interior parking area, which has elevators with two sides to go for the residents and back doors to the retail for the unloading. So it will be off the alley.
Okay,
It is shown on the alley. You can see the area, 24-foot wide access to ground floor parking through the alley. We do expect to take our deliveries, also moving trucks, appliance deliveries, all those things that are service vehicles, even though nobody else's pulls off of the alley. We don't want to increase any of that.
so you have the building actually is notched out so that they can pull into that area?
They'll make a turn into the ground floor parking from the alley, and they would.
From the
unload
alley.
there.
Right, so the retail only comes back halfway deep in the building, and the rest of that backside is parking and service entrance points and elevators. So the trucks can actually pull in, check, and pull
Okay.
back out, so they're not loading from the alley.
And again, the same thing, all the vehicular templates will be making sure that all works. Okay. And then the other question I had is related to packet page. Where's the page number? Well, it's not on there, but 2C-1 related to the lowest, the parking level E1. Hard to read, but I'm seeing that for the number of 180 parking spaces, you do need 6 accessible. One of those has to be van accessible. It's hard to read at this scale. Does one of the spaces depict an 8+8 or 11+5 access aisle for van accessible parking?
There will be, I don't believe that, the final parking layout is completed yet, but we will definitely meet code as far as ADA accessible, and there's gonna be on the ground parking. If you look at that chart, you can see it on your site plan, or you have it on the numbers are here too.
Yeah, it's hard to read.
Right here. So they show
Okay.
the different
Yeah.
parking on each level. We will ensure that there will be van accessible and ADA accessible parking spots.
Yeah, I mean, I see the emblem for ADA accessible, but I couldn't tell if the
Yes.
van, and it didn't look like, it looked all the access aisles were exactly the same. And so just,
Once you see the layout of the ground floor parking, when we show the drop offs for everything, you'll see that those ADA spots are there on
Okay.
that floor. And then as we get the underground parking done, we're still playing with it because we're dealing with, boiler rooms and electrical rooms and generator rooms, and we're messing around with parking spots, so we haven't got everything set yet, but it'll meet code.
okay, just noting that there needs to be one van accessible and outside of the column area with the access aisles, which it looks like you've depicted here. That's the only thing I had. Thank you.
Any other questions for our applicant from planning commissioners? Mr.
All right, so the parking in St. Joe, it's always been a touchy topic and it's gotten quite hot over the past year. So I'm going to follow up with some more questions. I think I heard earlier that parking in excess of 100 spots is going to be public parking.
There's 100 spots required by the city for the residents. So it's a 1-to-1 requirement. And then, we're targeting an additional 80 spots. The city has required us to replace the 57 spots that are on their city-owned lot. So by, the agreement we have with the city is a minimum of 157 parking spaces. And our goal personally is to exceed that as much as possible.
Can I understand how many spaces will be made available to the public?
At a minimum, 57. We're trying to get as many as possible. Right now, the plans in front of you have 84. And we're trying to get it as many as possible under there.
I'll say if the project says that if the number of parking spaces was 184, if the project says that the public will have access to 84 parking spaces, certainly that will be more positively received by the community.
Yep, and that's our goal.
Than if it was, say, 157 total. And maybe this was worked out with the city with the agreement for the buying the parking lot. Has it been discussed who has jurisdiction over policing these public parking spaces?
That hasn't been worked out with the city yet. And there's a further agreement to come. That was actually in our purchase agreement with the city, that there's a development agreement forthcoming that will outline how the actual operation and policing of those public spaces will work.
Okay.
I have one more question. So what's the distance between floor levels currently?
The floor plates they change, they vary, let's say. The floor
Okay.
plate between first floor and top of retail is 15 feet. The apartments are 9.5 feet, I believe, and the condos are 11, plate to plate.
Okay,
We're still playing with that right now
Uh-huh.
because we have to make sure that when we design the structure, that the structure, depending on the meat of that structure for how thick it is, will make those vary. And we're playing with them to keep them under the 80
okay.
total. So that might affect the retail side, it might affect the condos or the apartments, but right now it's 15, 9.5.
So based on, you're 8 feet higher than the Boulevard, which is a building that's been along that same street ever since I moved here in 1991 or whenever it was. Have you toyed at all with trying to get the distances between the levels down a little bit so that you could be comparable to the Boulevard in the same,
We play with
distance,
it
or
every
is it
day.
just not feasible?
Well, we play with it every day, and we had a meeting this morning, and it's gonna depend on structure, right? The room heights in the boulevard could be 8 feet, 7 foot 10, what have you. We're looking for higher than that in the apartments. We're looking for higher than that in the condos, because we think people are gonna spend that kind of money. They want higher ceiling heights in those 3 floors. And then the retail section is 15 feet clear. I'm sure the boulevard's probably close to that because of the retail they have on the first floor. But it's just gonna depend on once we get the structure done and how this thing gets built and how much room we have between floors to make the ceiling heights change. But right now, right now, our roof is at 70, 78, 77, right?
77.
So we're really not at 80, the top of the parapet's at 80.
Okay,
So we're really at 76.5.
That's right.
Because we're 42-inch parapet. So we're gonna make some adjustments there and hopefully get some room to deal with behind the parapet to keep the parapet, maybe gets a little bit shorter, the roof gets a little bit higher, but we stay under. But make it known, the roof is at 76. So that's what's kind of generating ceiling.
okay.
Any other questions for our applicant from planning commission?
I'm gonna keep coming at him with parking questions. All right, more
Go ahead,
parking.
Mr. Miller.
On the street level, you have 4 garaged parking spots. Are they only gonna be accessible by the roll-up door?
No, it's gonna be on open access. There wouldn't be a roll-up.
So there'll be some sort of personal
And-
door.
Where's that number at? The street is ground level parking.
That's a X1 drawing is my drawing.
Yeah. So there's 24 total.
Yeah, I
spaces.
understand. I was just seeing if users of those would have to go in and out of the alley if they had an indoor access to their,
Correct.
yeah,
Oh,
the private.
There's a plan for the 4 private garages and they're just separate garage doors for those garages.
But they'll have a personal door to go into the building, or are they going out into the alley to?
No, they'll have.
They'll have a man door to go
Okay.
inside the building from there.
And could you describe how the public would access the public parking? How,
It's planned off of Pleasant Street and then they would go down the ramp. And then we would designate spots for the residents and then the spots for the public parking. And then there's elevators and stairs that will provide plenty of access and ADA access out of the parking garage.
I
And then
saw,
there's
I'm sorry.
there's 2 vestibules on the floor plans that will be one on Broad Street and one on Pleasant Street that will then exit out of the parking garage.
Thank you. That answers my question.
Yep, Ms. Burzak.
Do you know the width of the alley? What the width of it is, building the building?
No,
I didn't see it on anything. What is it?
16 and a half. That's what I see. That's the correct line, but yes, from the building to the, I guess that would be the south side of the alley, it's 16.
Okay. So 16 and a half feet is to the building facade that's adjacent.
Actually, wait, that's not true. That's to the side of the paver path. It's 20 feet.
It's 20 feet?
20 feet total, yes.
Okay. Because the maneuverability with a 1-car garage, you know, where you have to pull out a certain distance before you can really turn, that probably needs to be template checked too.
Yeah, so one of the things, I'm not sure if it's just a reminder of food for thought. So there are 4 buildings on State Street that have views from out the rear of it.
Mhm.
And the Rinks Group owns 2 of those buildings. One of them has a 2-car garage
Mhm.
in it.
Yep.
And I park my F-150 in there.
Mhm.
And when backing out, I'm able to make that
But-
turn. And without, there's a curb opposite of it.
But isn't it currently you're backing out and you have all that additional space because there's not a building built there?
No, there's actually a curb there that I would
There's a
hit
curb,
if-
but when you have a curb, your tire can go to the curb and you can overhang it. So that's,
Yeah.
We'll do it.
I'm just making note that I think that needs to be studied to make sure that the doors and everything with a 1-car garage will work for clear access and pulling out into there.
All right, anything else from planning commissioners to our applicant, Mr. Miller?
there was a comment that came from the inspection department regarding guardrails in the roof. Do you know if you intend on having living space on the roof that would require a guardrail?
It's not currently planned. Any structures up there would require exceeding that height. Honestly, we would love to, but currently we would exceed the height and the rails. I don't think there's room for it. If there was, it's probably gonna have to be a separate application altogether to do anything on the
Well,
roof.
there's no allowance for it under the ordinance at all.
Yeah, okay. Right,
Council, I'm right on, I mean, it would be a brand new ordinance would be required. There's nothing that
Yeah.
allows over
I
80.
think if anything, it would be down the road.
And did you get a chance to see some other general comments regarding drawings, right-of-way permits? Did you think that would be any problem to provide those things before building permits were required?
I don't believe that they've been applied for yet. Correct? Obviously, the building permits, right?
That's typical.
The typical language, it's just following through with any details left in the site plan, anything that comes up in the meeting. So, yeah.
One more? Yeah.
Okay, so in your application, you talked about the view shed from State Street. You claim that nobody chooses to take in the view of Lake Michigan from State Street or Main Street?
Well, what we can say is that if you're looking for a view of the lake, what you would typically do is go down towards Lake Boulevard. Not to say that no one makes the decision to view it from further away. But, you know, if we think back historically, there, you know, had been a 50-foot tall building on the corner of Lake and Pleasant previously. And, you know, I'm sure going further back, that there was a building on the parking lot site as well. You know, the real, you know, marquee view is, you know, from the bluff. And that's, you know, what I'm sure attracts the majority of folks who are, you know, looking to take in the lake if they're not going down to Silver Beach itself.
I'll counter that. I think a lot of people do take in the view of the lake from Main Street here and even State Street as well. In that same portion of the application, you called that the protecting the view shed is unrealistic and could be deemed an excessive regulatory taking by the courts. We're not reviewing what could be considered an excessive taking by the courts. We're trying to review what could be the benefit of a project. Are there enough benefits to outweigh the request to go to 80 feet?
Sure.
So that's what we want to review, right? We want to review what are the benefits. Sometimes we see words like that in application and they never sit well. So it's just something to think about.
That's fair, and I appreciate that. And, you know, additionally, you know, if you are taking in the view from Main Street, we wouldn't be obstructing that view of the lake. You're looking down a corridor and what's in the foreground are the buildings across Main Street. So that, you know, there's still going to be a beautiful view looking down the street from the sidewalk. What we're really looking to do is enhance that view by adding a beautiful building to that block.
I understand. Just to understand from our perspective, we as a city have been taking a lot of measures to try to protect what the term we use is the view shed
Mhm.
from projects like this, building below the bluff, buildings north of the river. It's something that we try to work with quite often and throughout the city.
Sure, and to that point, you know, we were looking to create new views. So there will be, you know, 100 new units, and, you know, more people that are, you know, gonna be in those units than just 100. So there's that much more of a net positive of people being able to take in, you know, that lake view, and from different perspectives as well.
Thank you.
All right, let's give these folks a break for a moment and take some public comment. If there's nothing, all right, if you guys want to take a break for a second, we're gonna open up for public comment, open for public comment. A reminder all, I don't know, we have lots of folks here, maybe a lot of people want to be heard, so I'm gonna ask everybody to stay focused in your comments and brief. At the end of the day, have I got a memo that says I can start cutting people off at 3-4 minutes? Yeah, I do, but I'd like to not do that if I don't have to. And so organize your thoughts. If you're speaking for more than one person, give us the names of the people you're speaking for. It saves some time. And then you can make the points and then we're not repeating things and we get all your names in the minute and that kind of thing. So just that general guidance. If that's the case, who would like to, if anyone, like to be heard with regard to this? We'll start with this gentleman right here. I do want you to come up to the podium and get on a microphone. Tell us who you are and what you would like us to consider, please.
So I'm Mike Vicchio. I'm a current resident of the downtown area at 403 State Street. And I just want to talk about the parking. I just wanted the board to know that for residents in that building, we have no assigned parking. There is no assigned parking. We do it on a first come, first served basis. So there's added competition for those spaces. And I just want to make sure that this board recognizes that there are residents that have no assigned spaces downtown.
Okay, you're talking about something other than the proposed project.
Well, that project would create more residents, and if there's 100 units, and I think someone said earlier, there's going to be, you know, they're probably going to have more than one person in many cases. So that net positive of parking spaces, there's going to be a fight for the spaces that are there. There's going to be more people, more residents fighting for limited spots. And if we don't have a spot, like I'm not fighting for a second spot, I'm fighting for a first spot. So I just want to make sure the board recognizes that.
Thank you, sir.
That's,
Oh,
to meet you finally, Mike, in person.
okay, I guess I'll recognize this lady, I guess. Would you state your name? Please tell us who you are and what you would like us to consider.
My name is Jessica Michael, and I'm from 403 State Street, the same building that he was referring to, the old Truce Brothers building here. And we have 6 residential units upstairs, and I'm the president of the condo association, Great Lakes Condo Association. And I'm just here to say that I'm just not really understanding how this is gonna work. Right now, you're talking about 100 residents, and then probably 200 cars. People have 2 cars, and on a Saturday, they invite the friends over, that's 3 cars. You're gonna have on the weekends also, not only all the tourists and everything else, but you're gonna have all the employees who are working here. And that's how many parking spaces. And right now, we do not have enough all-day parking. There's 6 of our units, we need all-day parking. And we can't, we're just playing a game of 3 hour to 3 hour to 3 hour, moving our cars all day, was already a huge problem. And I don't understand like how this is gonna work. I'm wondering, out of the city, what my ask of you would be, could we have 6 dedicated parking spots somewhere? Because we live there. And we do not want to compete with the employees. And right now, as it is, we don't have road rage around here. We have parking rage. It's a big deal. All of these waitresses and everything, and they're complaining about walking across the street. Well, we're worried about where do you want us to put our car? And so it's a huge thing to me. I really wish that we could work something out and that through this city or through you guys, we could at least have 6 dedicated spots for ourselves or for the Great Lakes Condo Association. That would be 1 parking spot for each unit. Thank you.
And I just guess for the record, because I was on the board when that particular development was passed, there was never parking. It never was there parking affiliated with that, and we all understood that at the time. But it is,
Just reduced it though?
okay, just a second.
Sure.
There was never, when that was approved, it was approved with the understanding there was no guaranteed parking for those units, period. That's all I want to say. And the point I was trying to make, that technically, there's no correlation or connection, gentlemen, between that project and yours, correct?
No.
Okay, I'm not saying you can't chat and talk and do whatever. I just don't want there to be.
It's just that they moved it all to 3 hour on block.
Okay.
From all day.
And that is a city consideration. I'm not saying it's not valid consideration.
But
I-
if they go up further, then that's gonna be more people that are competing for these all day spots.
Thank you. Who else would like to be heard? This gentleman, come on up to the microphone, identify yourself and tell us what you'd like us to hear and understand.
My name is C. Osiri, S-I-O-S-I-R-I. It means son of Osiris, the Egyptian deity. You can call me C or Sai for short. I went through a legal name change in '98. My term with Franco at the courthouse because Illinois had issued me a fraudulent birth certificate that they still hadn't corrected, but there's no dispute. But that's why I get the name I have for mixture reasons. Now, I only get a few minutes here. I'm not coming here on theory, opinion. I'm coming to you on experience. I originated out of New Buffalo. I just went through 21 months of homelessness. I got hit with the lockdown and I went down as a grower with 3,000 restaurants that quick with the lockdown. So there's no senior citizen services down in New Buffalo area. I had to come up here to save my life. It was a survival here. And I want to thank the city, 1969, for its courage, intelligence, insight to build Lakeview Terrace. Because when I got that call, January 28th from Lori and Bonnie at the administrative office, they had saved my life. I was at the rope's end of the rope's end of 21 months of homelessness, facing the face of death every day for 21 months, like I was a soldier in the trenches of World War I, fighting. But God Almighty wanted me out there. I had to go through it. I had to experience what the country's going through. I had to see it. I had to be educated, and I am. And it was the cosmic force of the crucifixion flowing through the Christians in Benton Harbor, the African-American women who played a big role in saving my life that I don't have time to go into. But you have great communities here in Benton Harbor and St. Joe. The people are great, they're good. And I love you all, and I thank you for your presence in my life. And that's why I'm here. The first unwritten rule of any democracy is we agree to disagree. And I'm the one who said, James Gerzik, the big shot developer who came into New Buffalo, he developed Tinley Park. And it's gonna convert the whole New Buffalo into a Chicago suburb because of the casino. That was the attraction. Gerzik was connected to the gangster Calabrese. I talked to him twice in Buffalo, Calabrese. And I let Gerzik know that I'm Tony Accardo's godson, Sam Giancana's son, the last Capone, and he's not messing with my town. And he did. And because of it, I spent 15 solid years researching out the Beach Park on what happened on invitation of the Army Corps after I informed them that the 99-year lease agreement was missing from the Barron County file drawer. We don't have time to get in it. We got to go to this project. So I set Gerzik down at a table in Casey's Bar after it was proposed, 137 underground garage across from Casey's, a big thing like this, similar, maybe a little smaller. And I said, Mr. Gerzik, we're not Illinois. We're not black dirt and clay base. We are sand and water. This will not work. You cannot build an underground garage like this from Buffalo to Charlevoix along the shoreline. And it'll leak and go into black mold. When I left New Buffalo, after 20 years, the Fountain View project sat there undeveloped with 6 feet of black mold. He knows it, Abercrombie. The new owner finally brought in Chicago heavy construction equipment and tore it all down because it was so toxic of 6 feet of mold in there. And it sat there for 20 years and paralyzed the whole community for 20 years. Wrecked us. Because the city council was dancing with the devil with dollar signs in their eyes. They believed Gerzik to be a Warren Buffett. He was gonna do the things that he promised, took them all out to dinner, the merchants, everything. And then Gerzik gets hit with family secrets. That breaks his connection to Calabrese. And then he gets hit with the 08 real estate break. And that blows him out of town. He goes bankrupt on a Bank of Palatine on a $5 million loan. He put $2 million in his projects in town and put $3 million in his pocket when he left. You can't do that today, but you could then under the bankruptcy laws. Brought in another corporation to pick up the spilled milk. And exact copy, the folks in Arizona came up and said, don't go with this guy. This is what he did to us. He did it to us too. Now, I believe this developer, to be honest, he's not Gerzik. Okay. But I agree with him that this property is unique because why? From Benton Harbor to New Buffalo, we're known here in Southwest Michigan as what? The Sunset Coast. That's what brings the people into us, the sunset. It doesn't belong to me. It doesn't belong to you. It doesn't belong to this condo project. It belongs to we, the people, to generations yet unborn. This property should have been made into a park a long time ago.
That's right.
And nobody's talking about you're cutting off the hand to feed you in order to let a developer here, who, though I be honest, to legally plunder our sunset. That brings the people into you. This won't work, and I'll tell you why. Let me read. USA new tallest timber tower halted mid-build for future uncertain. This is published the September 26, 2025 in the New Atlantis. I have vision problems. Would somebody read this for me?
I think it's been provided to us.
Yeah, okay.
So
got it.
we've got it. So
Okay, to shorten things up, that's what's gonna happen. That's what happened to Gerzik. He got hit with the 08 crack and he had to take off. Now, I follow in the markets. You're not talking here anything about markets. and what's going on externally that will impact the community, what's coming up. I go with Dr. Kirk Elliott, 2 PhDs, economics and theology, flyovergold.com, the number one silver broker in the country, Gerald Celente from Friends Journal, founder and editor, and Martin Armstrong, who is a world-renowned economist, and what he's known for is his computer model for 19 times. That bullseye hit like the crack in 08. All three are predicting the real estate collapse coming up. And because the reforms weren't done after the 08, we're looking at a crack that's gonna be twice as painful, twice as deep than 08, which has the potential to pop the derivative bubble. And if that happens, all the banks, including Switzerland, go down. We're looking at 2 bubbles getting ready to crack here.
Sir, I'm gonna ask you, try to wrap up and get to,
Yeah, okay.
bring it back to
Yeah.
this particular project.
Well,
so
it
we
is,
can-
it is related.
So we can
because
hear
the
from
developer is
everybody.
Claiming he's got 85% of it sold. Nobody here can go to Chase Bank at Fairplain Plaza and get a mortgage or a car loan. So it'd have to be in hard cash. There's no liquidity left in the banks. There was after 08, but it's gone now. We are in serious, serious trouble as we're moving towards World War III in the world.
Okay.
This brings into unknowns. So what I gave you were this project, for the foundation, the rest is like New Buffalo, not done. That's gonna happen to you. It'll paralyze you for 1 or 2 generations. It's a matter of timing and it's not there. We are at the end of the life of the Federal Reserve. We're at the end of the life of FDR's New Deal. We need drastic reforms all over the place that we're not getting. And because of it, it's gonna be catastrophic for all of us. So,
Thank
me and this, I'm in a 3-year lease over here, and I know this project's gonna bankrupt State Street. Want the evidence? Your machine's on parking. Nobody came into town. When this thing starts to get developed, nobody's coming into town. So you're headed for big time troubles. And my solution for myself personally, with the rest of the retirees, we're fucking down in Latin America where you can survive. I'm looking at a $500,000 condo with $800 a year property taxes. They tax in Costa Rica $800 for every $500,000. $1.5 million villa would be $2,400 versus $30,000 here, where they are way out of line. And there isn't the incomes to sustain this. So you're gonna find yourself in a miscalculation and you're gonna blow the whole community out of the water like a battleship getting hit. So I'm not gonna pursue this thing,
Thank you.
you know?
We
I just
appreciate-
come here to clean my conscience that you're headed for big time trouble like New Buffalo.
We appreciate your comments.
Now, let
Thank
me
you.
say one more thing. I'm suggesting that the city here put on the ballot 3 issues. 1, seeking voter approval to raise an eminent domain case to purchase that property that this proposed project wants to build on, the market property under eminent domain. 2nd, put on the ballot the parking machines, let the folks in town vote on it, rather than bureaucratic process of the DDA. And the 3rd thing is, I have not found one person in town who wants the DDA. They are lethal, they can destroy a whole community like New Buffalo. And you should put that on the menu too. 3 issues that the folks in town should vote on, rather than decided by bureaucrats sitting in these meetings.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate your time
All
today.
right.
Thank you.
Adios.
Who else would like to be heard? That's that gentleman, right? I'm sorry for pointing, but I didn't know your name. This gentleman right here, please. Tell us who you are.
I'm Jose Vasquez. I live on 312 State Street. I'm the person in one of the condos that the rank group says, gotta suck it up. My views are gonna be blocked. It don't matter, because you know what? We're giving views to everybody else in these condos that aren't even gonna be here during the winter months. Like I'm here, we're here, and my wife, 365 days year round. You know, we support the community. We shop here, we buy here. We're good citizens. We've done everything that a person should do in this town, you know, to help this town get along. It'll be 5 years now in January that we've been here. All our lives, we've been traveling up and down the coast from New Buffalo all the way to Grand Haven. And we said, you know what, when we retire, St. Joe, it's gonna be St. Joe. St. Joe is the best. It's beautiful. It's where you want to be, you know. After about 41 years in the mill, and my wife, 41 years of doing what she did in different colleges and two construction companies. We said, you know what? It's time. It's time to retire. And lo and behold, in 2020, this condo went up for sale. And my wife had hurt her foot. So I had to carry her up like the first set of stairs. And when we get up there and open up the condo, she goes, wow, this is beautiful. This is nice. And I go, well, guess what? There's another level. So she scooted on her butt all the way up, opened the door, and she goes, this is it. This is it. This is where I want to be. We're going to retire here. And I said, it's beautiful, isn't it? The people on the commission, the commissioners, you guys know what our view is. You guys have seen it from the top of the rank groups condo who, when they bought the condo, within a week, 2 weeks, it was a short-term rental. They don't live here. You know, the rank groups don't live here. I live here. My wife lives here. Our grandchildren come here. These people in this room, a lot of them, the people in the community live here. You know, I am St. Joe now. 5 years now, 5 years. I am St. Joe. You know, for the rank group to say that I'm nothing or we're nothing, the 4 buildings, he owns 2 of them. He don't care if the views are blocked. I care. I care. And you know what? They make these comments that say that people are all for it. Well, we know the people in the community. We know the people at Tosi's, at the bookstore underneath us. You know, the manager. We get hugs from the manager, the general manager that runs the sandwich shop. You know, at the market, everything like that. You know. Because we're part of the community, we're engraved, you know, we're in there, we're doing what you should be doing, and we're doing it right, you know. But why should we have to suffer? Why should we be said that we don't count? Because this company, this rank group wants to put up this development, and I understand everything about that. You need development, you need to get bodies in St. Joe, right? That we all understand that. You know, there's all kinds of studies that can be done that'll tell you that this is what a town needs to survive. You know, this is what a town needs to get through. You know, but if you think about it, the condo people, they're not going to be here year round. They're not. You know, we got to be realistic about this, right? They're not going to be here year round. They're not going to be like me or my wife parking in the back. We have a parking in the back in the alley. With our jackets on and our winter coats and grabbing our groceries and walking around in December, January, and February, there's no one here but us. You know, they're not going to be here. The rentals, I don't know. I don't know what the rentals are going to do. You know, but it seems like they're setting a precedent. You know, because like he said in that drawing, there's a lot of primary empty spots, right? They're numbered them. You know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What are you going to tell Rybells? Rybells, there was an excellent article on Rybells, the view top, and how they put it. They probably put in 500 grand to what they did on Rybells, right on top, facing the lake, where now they got the garage doors. People can go out there and sit. Well, if somebody buys that lot, which now, right, it's open game, right? City lots, that's a private lot. Next to that is a city parking spot. So if somebody buys that lot, and maybe it's these guys again, maybe it's another developer, and they say, you know what? We're gonna give you parking spots, we're gonna give you condos, we're gonna give you apartments, but Mr. Rybell, we're gonna block your view. But you know what? That's only one building. But it's gonna be for the benefit of these other condos and the other rentals. How can you say no? What are you gonna tell Mr. Rybell? Oh, Mr. Rybell, you know, sorry. All that money you put into that building, all that work you did, Jose, we already did it to him, you know, we allowed this building to be built. We got to do it to you too. What's Rybell's gonna do? And then if you keep going that way, what's everybody else gonna do? You know, Bucks. What are you gonna do when you keep going that way? And now Bucks is viewed. They got an open area upstairs, right? And what about on the other side of a Shoes? You got an empty lot there, and I counted them on my morning walk because I've been thinking about this way too much to talk in front of you people, and but I appreciate it. And there's like 8 buildings right there. They have views of the lake and there's a parking spot right there. What are you gonna tell them? Well, you know, we blocked Rybel's, sorry. We blocked Jose Vasquez, sorry. But guess what? We can't stop it now. We set a precedent. We're gonna sell that city lot. The people are gonna give us parking spaces. They're gonna go up 80 foot in the air. You know, instead of keeping it at 57, we're at least at 57 feet or whatever it is, we can still see the lake. Everybody along State Street can still see the lake, you know? Our views will not be blocked. My granddaughter is still on 4th of July, we'll see the fireworks, you know? She'll see the donut truck at wherever it's gonna end up parked now. But you gotta be careful, you know? I sent you guys a lot of emails, you know, and just pretty straight up stuff. I haven't been mean about nothing. I haven't, you know, been rude to the developer or nothing like that. Just questions, what if, you know? I think the last one I sent was, man, just make sure every stone, you know, you flip it over and say, you know what, we forgot about that, you know? That's not a bad idea, you know? Because this is precedent. This is a precedent that we're saying, that we're doing by letting them go 80 feet. And I understand that they need the 80 feet because they want the condos. The condos are gonna be $1 million, $2 million, you know? We all know that, you know, HOA $1,000. And that's probably what they need.
We'll just start wrapping up to make the points.
That's probably what they need, you know, for that, but at the same time, you're hurting the rest of us. You're hurting the rest of us that live along State Street, you know? Like somebody was saying about the views being blocked. So that's my point. You're setting a precedent by going up to the 80 foot. That is the topic of this agenda, and I was trying to stay on it. I kind of wavered a little bit, but that is a topic. Okay. So
Thank you very much. I appreciate your comments. Who else? All the way in the back. And again, sorry to point, I didn't have you come up, please.
I'm Robin Allen. I'm owner of Forever Books in downtown St. Joe for 27 years. And I have a list, so I'm not going to go into the much thing. I have a question on the trash and recycle collection for not only the new development, but for the businesses behind that. I have concerns about the traffic flow entering the underground access to parking. I also have questions on, I'm wondering if there's other shore towns that have large businesses on the lake like this and how it's affected. I don't go on very many vacations, so I'm not sure, but I don't recall anything like that, like in Holland or South Haven. I wonder what the effect is on their downtown, because we do have a tall boulevard, but there's nothing behind it. Nothing behind it. My concern also is for parking that was originally for events like the car show, Chalk the Block, handicap accessible for events like the art show and the market. What happens to that? And I realize that probably the community doesn't have a choice, but I really appreciate the board asking the hard questions. And so I was impressed by that tonight, by some of the questions, so I appreciate that. And that's what I have for my list.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening.
This lady right here, please. Again, sorry for pointing. Tell us who you are and what you would like us to consider.
My name is Michelle Vasquez and I live at 312 State Street.
Are you related to the gentleman that spoke earlier?
I am, and I have notes as well, so I'll try not to duplicate anything that's already been brought up.
Thank you.
I need to put my glasses on. On the St. Joe website, well, let me start by the Rink Group. On his article dated July 7th or 8th, he was quoted saying that this is more than just a real estate project. It's a declaration that St. Joe is waking up. But on the St. Joe website, we are charming, we are beautiful, but we aren't a sleepy town. We are not a sleepy town. We have popular year-round events all year long. And Robin touched on some of them, but I don't know how you guys will ever do Antiques on the Bluff with this building there. There's no way you guys could ever do that. The artesian fairs, all of them. The fireworks, the St. Joe Winter Beer Fest, most recently, the farm animal event that was hosted. It takes that entire lot. There's lots of times that entire lot is used, lots of times. So that is what I have to say on that. We are not a sleepy town. In fact, we're known as the must-know Riviera of the Midwest. You guys live in Granger. You guys aren't around here all the time. You don't hear the homeless people playing the piano at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning. You don't hear all of this, but you know what? It all dies down at 10 o'clock. When Rydell stops playing the music, this town gets sleepy, and that's how we like it. When your building goes in, it's not gonna be sleepy, and you are going to have to hire security if you're in charge of the parking garage, because homeless people are going to like that parking garage. They are going to like it, and we have had more homeless people in the last month sleeping right in the doorways of all of these stores. And we're gonna bring more if this building goes in. It has to be thought about. It must. It must. Honestly, it sounds like it, maybe it's funny to you guys, but it sounds like the market equities that took over Yellowstone, want to take over Yellowstone and make it be a Chicago town, and we are not that. We are not that. And I hope, Mr. Miller, I like your questions that you bring up. They're all important. And I hope that this weighs as heavy on you guys as it does on us, because we are not sleeping. My husband and I aren't even talking because we don't even know what to say. My stomach was upset coming here today. I feel like it's like you guys are serving us the death. You're taking away our $1 million view. And on July 8th, I saw you guys and some of you guys on the rooftop celebrating with the bubble with champagne bottles. Oh, there were a few.
Well, first of all, she would be upset if we weren't invited. That was a joke. I have no idea what you're talking
Well,
about,
the
so.
60 people open house, I was never invited. Who was invited? Was it your group? Like, they're in Granger. They don't know what we need. And I hope that you guys really think on this. Because what's the value of my home gonna be? Am I gonna have to pay the same taxes I pay when my value goes down? Which, by the way, we just paid off in August. We worked our butts off our whole life, just paid it off in August. And now what? Our view is gone. And our value will go down.
Thank you. I appreciate your comments. This lady here in the striped shirt. Tell us who you are and what you'd like us to consider.
Tough acts to follow here.
Oh, and you're gonna need to speak up. These old
Okay.
ears are,
Ann Barnes, 608 Market Street.
thank you.
And when this group first came up to present to the city council, and this gentleman was standing right here, and I asked the question, how high will this be? He said that they didn't know. On the St. Joseph Downtown Vision Master Plan, I remembered some presentations earlier from the spring. On page 36, it talks specifically about Lake Boulevard and Broad Streets, the primary sites 3 and 4. And that wasn't in their presentation. It says to further protect views and openness, the height of buildings along this section of Lake Boulevard should be regulated. Buildings adjacent to the plazas, which they described earlier, should be limited to 2 stories, then to 4 stories further north and south along Lake Boulevard. Development on these properties should be mixed use, which was what they've done. But when you do get to look at it, if you review it, it does protect our sunset and our view. The view coming along Broad, you're heading toward the lake, it's still open. With what they're doing, it's going to be cut. So that is a concern. And this is in your master plan. As an employee downtown, facing the west from the for 3 summers, G&M Variety, I know what it's like when the sun starts to set, spring through fall, and how it gets darker and things change. When you have something that many stories above these buildings of our charming downtown, it's going to dominate and to cast a darkness over what is our charming downtown. It's nice to look out the stores when you're a shopper or the restaurants and look out and see the sky. If you're on the east side and you're looking west, you're not going to see in that area the sky. People aren't going to want to come downtown to a tunnel. They come down here because of the charm. And I still have concerns also about that underground garage, because I live on the bluff on Market Street and I feel that train shake. So you're going to have all that there plus this height. It's scary. I don't want the bluff to go down any further. I don't want to lose any more. And I'm concerned about the buildings and the businesses that are already there and how just the construction alone could cause damage to the buildings there. I live in St. Joe. I liked what somebody said, I am St. Joe. And I have been for 40 years. And my family's before me. So thank you for listening and protect our charming town.
Thank you. This lady back here. Tell us who you are and what you'd like us to consider.
My name is Lee Losi. I'm a citizen of St. Joseph, Michigan. I'm a resident of the city. And what I have to say is I agree with anybody who said anything about the structure destroying the ground that we live on. Let's just put it that way. We all know there can be technical terms, so on and so forth, but this is what we know. It'll be dark. St. Joe is a sunny, beautiful hometown city. We don't want big city darkness on St. Joe, Michigan. We've been fighting it for years. I've been here way long enough to know, and a lot of you have too. So I'm not saying anything about who's coming in to develop our beautiful, precious land. But I'm going to say, I for one say absolutely not. If you want something that big, put it on the other side of Main Street. I'm not going to point because I don't really know what direction I'm headed in. But don't put it up there in our view. It destroys the whole quality of life for St. Joe, period. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to be heard? This gentleman right here.
Carl Meyer, 505 Properties, 505 Pleasant Street, the building directly to the north of this proposed project, Shoes Restaurant, as most of you know. It's a 4-story building, 100 employees are there. Okay, who does it impact the most? It'd be our building. It's blocking it, yes. But we also see the advantages to the city. That's why the city sold the property to the developer, to develop just grass. It's been grass for over 30 years that I know of. I think you guys are here for special use permit to increase it from 57 to 80 feet. Is that correct?
55.
Or 55. I don't see where parking is an issue, but it really doesn't have to do with the special use permit. It's the height of the building.
Well, we have to consider, just in the interest, you have to consider all the standards of the special use permit as well as the overlay district. And that brings in some of these other discussions. Yes. You're right. There's no formal site plan to use, but that's part of the discussion to follow our ordinance and make findings.
Okay. So I heard tonight people concerned about the restaurants in downtown. I think that you'll find, I have nothing to do with this group, that the restaurant people have supported this project. We support this project. Other people in the community support it. The city supports it. So it's a plus plus. You heard the figures over the last years that people are moving out of the city. There's a reason why. We need this facility in our community. And yes, it will block some, but that's called airspace. If they should have bought the lot when it was for sale, if they wanted to keep their view. But we're going to lose a view, but I also think it overwhelms. The people in my building say, we're for it. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. There are people that are very affirmative of this project.
Thank you. Anybody else? Anybody else? Small, all right. You've already had a shot, so I want to make
Well,
sure.
just on the architecture, I want to make a historical note. It's an order.
Okay, you're not recognized at this time, so I want to make sure everyone else gets heard first. And Mr. Gianola, I will recognize you. And I should disclose, you need to come to the microphone and identify.
Question, are you guys going to come up and talk about the structure? Or is this-
Okay, Mr. Gianola, I'm going to recognize you, please, for the minutes and full disclosure, if you didn't know, this is our newest member's father-in-law. So we should disclose the familial relationship, and welcome, Mr. Gianola. What do you wish to tell us?
I'm not gonna tell, I'm just asking a question.
Sure.
Okay. And so I have 2 properties which are within 300 feet. That's why I'm here for Do It Now and also Genola Family. Okay, that's where I received the letter. So the questions I had, because I believe you gave the guys a break, I wanted to make sure that if you're gonna talk about the structure, I can still come up and talk. But since I couldn't get that answer, I will talk about the items that I can. Okay, there has been some discussion about this garage, which is in the lower level. And it's going to be on one drawing from Abermarsh or your fish Beck group.
Joe, can I ask you if you stay on that microphone?
Sure.
Because you're having a hard time hearing you.
Okay, so the structure is 34 foot in the ground. Okay, on one of the drawings that I saw, but regardless, what I'm trying to do is get some comparison. The garage, it was built, the overhead or the parking garage for the hospital, that is approximately 36 foot. Okay, so if you're concerned about the structure, I mean, they have to do their engineering on it. So when you go 34 or 40 foot, because you've got, depending on the mass, you have a concrete. And so the concrete's going to be the mass or the footing. So I believe that structure, it can't be built unless you have the proper structure. All right, that's one. The other is on this TIF. And it seems like the TIF hasn't been accepted. I don't know that everybody understands the full understanding of the TIF. And when you're a developer, you're trying to get your ducks in a row. And you have to watch out where the money is coming from, How long is this gonna be built? And so there's challenges going on there. So I give them some credit for sticking their neck out because they don't know if it's gonna happen. And they don't know the benefit of what it's going to do for not only our schools, the college, the jail, even the city gets some of those tax dollars. And then how long it goes, who knows? But then the other item is that when they sell a property, I'm not sure on a TIF if that property is abated on the taxes. So if these owners that are purchasing the property, that's a question. And then I'm back to, you mentioned that the first floor is 15 foot. The middle apartments are 9 and the second or the condos is 11. So when I did my math, it didn't work out. So how many floors do we have apartments?
3 floors of apartments.
So that's 27 feet. And how many floors of condos?
So 9.5 feet. And
Oh, the condos are 9
no,
also,
the apartment,
are 9.5,
there's 3 floors.
3 floors for there. And then on the condos? 3, and those are 11, okay. And so then when you're looking at it, just so you know, the parapet wall is an extension above the roof. And I think I think that in your guidance that you guys fought for and paid for, to tell you where the property was going to be, what it could be used for and things of that nature, there was a recommendation of 55. And that is to a parapet wall. Say that thing was 50 foot and had a 5-foot parapet wall. These gentlemen are trying to go for an 81 foot. And so there is a difference of 26 feet. So economically, it does impact this property for them to say, hey, we could really use it for the cash flow. But there again, that is a question I can't answer. And I don't, as a developer, I'm looking at myself. I don't know if I would go through with this if I didn't have that TIF first. And and it's, all these things are coming about. And the alley that you're talking about, that was Paul Janch's property, which I did build and I did the condo for him. Paul had a Cadillac. And so a Cadillac, I don't know if your truck is a 6-bed or a 6-foot bed with a double 4 doors or whatever. But Paul could get that Cadillac back in. There was some question about the curb overhanging. He made it. Diane had a smaller car because that was a 2-car garage. So she could come in and out of that. So that took care of that. But again, it's the, back to this parking garage. We don't have enough parking. Let's stop beating around the bush. We don't have enough parking. So there's gotta be a way. And on one of the documents I was reading for the city, that corner was going to be a parking garage. And I don't know if it was a 3-story or whatever, but that would have been something that because it was already tentatively designated for a parking garage. And that's what I
That's
read.
news.
Well, that's what I read. Maybe I read it wrong. But so the question I have only is that you're at, and I can see where you got your 181, which I give you credit for those 4 garages. I didn't know what the garages were for. So you got 181, all right? So you have increased from that 57 to 81. The challenge that I have and the question that I'd like to have answered at some point, when you have this 10 to 12,000 square feet on the main floor, there's going to be a restaurant, there's going to be retailing. And on a given restaurant, it takes about 35 people to operate a restaurant. If there's 2, there's 7. So I'd be careful on the net positive that you're talking about. Please just at some future date, try to rectify what this parking is going to be. And then on the height thing, again, I'm looking at our attorney over there. That should be done. I don't know if it's in your buy-sell agreement for the property that you're pending to purchase from the city, or, and what is the city using with the money that they're getting? Are they going to designate it to a parking garage, or maybe get a group of us developers let us build a parking garage and maybe solve.
There's no plan for that,
Okay.
and I can also say that there is no city plan to have that lot as a site for a parking structure. so.
Right. It was just in the document that I. So that, but if, I would like to come back up here if you're gonna talk about construction. I don't know if you're
We
doing
did
that.
a
tonight.
presentation earlier, did you miss
I
that?
don't know, but I thought.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
If they have questions.
I see a hand over here. Tell us who you are, sir, and what would you like us to consider?
My name is Thomas Barnes at 608 Market Street. The one question that I have is that it's my understanding that the height limits within the city codes were put there for a reason. Do we know why that was?
What specifically are you referring to? The overlay district?
Pardon me?
The overlay district?
Yes, that this would be part of. Is it for safety? Was it for, because the fire department didn't have enough equipment that could reach heights above that to?
Oh, sure. Point the finger. I'm the only one old enough that was here when we did that. Thank you so much, council, for pointing that out.
What I was going to say is that the ordinance does state it, I mean, there's an 80-foot limit, it's just anything from 55 to 80 would require a special use permit.
Okay.
And the things that are important in considering it are the factors the planning commission has to review and determine whether it would be appropriate to go that high. But there is an 80-foot overall limit. period.
Okay. Okay. So I was not aware of that, but thank you for clarifying it. Now, the other
In
thing
other
that,
words, if they came in with this exact project and it was 54 feet, we wouldn't be here. We'd all
Right.
be having dinner.
right,
They wouldn't need to ask anything. Am I right on that, Kristen?
Correct.
It's because it's more than the 55 and up to the 80, which is the max.
okay.
That's why they have to be here.
Okay, very good. The other thing that I would like to say is that I'm sure you're all aware of the law of unintended consequences. And when we make decisions, it has lots of different consequences that oftentimes that we are not aware of. And I just think that this particular building in this particular dimensions and all is going to cause a lot of unintended consequences that perhaps the city and developers and these guys who have done a really fine job of creating something. And I'm not against development. I just think that, you know, we need to be very careful because I think there are going to be a lot of consequences that come from this that are going to be unintended and that we haven't even considered. So just for your thoughts.
Thank you, sir. Anything else? Anybody else? All right.
Hi, my name is Marla Schneider. I'm President and CEO of Cornerstone Alliance. We're at 80 West Main in Benton Harbor. I am also a St. Joe resident at 2008 Forest Ave. This project, I think, will be the catalyst for new development in St. Joe. We have a housing issue and a population decline issue here. So with our population on decline, out of our entire housing supply, 0.6% is available on the market right now. That's about 430 homes. That's in the entire Berrien County. So think about that in the smaller setting of St. Joe. The median price is 432,000. So when you look at condos, apartments, this is all very much needed. And I think we need to take a chance on these developers. We've worked with them. They are solid. They are good. I would like to see this be the catalyst for development in St. Joe.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anybody else? Close public hearing. What I like to do before we, was there a sort of a request for us short break? We don't normally do this. What I'd like to do is we'll take about a 5-minute recess to allow people to stretch legs. We don't normally, but we'll be here a while, so maybe that's a good idea. What I would like for the developer to know is what I would typically do when we return. Is if there are responses you'd like to make to any of the public comments you just heard, we will give you an opportunity to do that or respond. Public hearing portion is over, and then we'll begin our debate. So that's what I would like. If you don't have anything to respond to, that's fine too, but we'll give you that opportunity if you want to respond to any of the comments that were made with specifics or otherwise. 5 minutes, and we literally mean 5 minutes, and then we will regather. Brief recess. And for a score update.
Oh, what did I miss? Yeah, what is it? Cubs are winning 2-0. All right. Bottom of the fourth. Okay.
Where's the game?
Wrigley Field.
Oh, nice. Good, man, what a day for
Aren't
a
all
game.
these first series, weren't they all in the same space? They
Yeah.
didn't change venue, they were
Yeah.
all,
Wow.
yeah, just this first one.
Yeah.
What happened with the, oh, that's tonight,
I'm-
8 o'clock tonight is the Red Sox game.
Yes. We might make it home for that.
I'm surprised.
That's very nice to meet you. I have to go.
Nice to meet you, sir.
For the opportunity to speak to you. I'll pray on this.
We give people the opportunity to say.
Tigers.
Before I leave, if I can flip the coin, my grandmother said something on how to get feelings. She said, "Feelings is what they want, people destroy stuff." So what I see with local governments, whether New Buffalo, they got what they want. New Buffalo. Dollar signs dancing with the devil. They wreck themselves for a whole generation. And that's why I came here tonight to tell you, you're right on the verge of doing it. Corporatism, to read this,
I just
totally
really,
out of hand.
I'd like to breathe. Anybody married to a doctor? Oh, yeah, but it's the wrong kind of doctor.
Thank you.
Please help you.
It just doesn't affect.
Well, I had holes.
Real estate.
Cause I was like, something is
Richard and
something.
John Lennon.
Yeah,
waiting
I
for
think
the
so.
French
Thank
to
you
recover.
for
They got all
that.
stolen from me as a kid. And here.
I'm supposed to be well by the time of kickoff noon in Ann Arbor on Saturday. I don't think that's gonna happen.
No, I don't think you're gonna be well for what, I have more one too.
I've got some, I'm going.
I'm not gonna
I
pay
don't care where,
$20,000
I'm going.
for your property taxes. I'll go down
Well, you're
to Costa
outside,
Rica.
so.
Same amount of money,
fresh air.
$400 a year property taxes, or 800. I'm looking at.
I have more in case, because we're gonna be here a while. I gotta check the.
Oh, Kathy,
That's
that's
why
why
they're
you're
blocking down
bankrupting your
there.
entire supply.
I always take them from work.
Wait till you get there.
They're- they're a communal supply.
It's actually better today, but it's,
That sounds
Pay
bad.
the mortgages,
Now,
it's
missing-
not there.
I wanted to share this with you.
Thank you,
I
sir.
went,
Thank you.
and counted the parking spots over at Emma Holes Flats. Not that it's the same, but it's kind of a newer development in
Yeah, I
the
know.
area.
The apartments.
Yeah, so they got 129 parking spots for 80 units, so they got 1.6 per unit, and we're at
which
1.1.
structure is this? Yeah, are you not sharing?
No, absolutely. Emma Hole Flats, I counted. One of the satellite, and so I may be off by it.
Yeah.
But
So
it's
what's your,
totally
what's your
different.
point? What are you trying to say?
I just think this thing is short. But I don't,
Is
it's
what?
not, I think it's short parking, but I don't think it's really.
It impacts, you gotta follow the standards. The
Yeah.
city is driving that home.
Yeah, if they're saying 1.1.
And we
that's what
changed
they
the
could say.
standards.
Is that what happened?
I had to do that.
Totally. Yeah,
Okay.
no. You
Because
couldn't have.
Sanderson Sagman is what by setting his
No,
wife
no,
up
no.
to the podium.
No, I didn't, I wasn't offended in the
Yeah,
least.
we
It
don't
was
want
the-
any of that to.
No.
Commons.
Nope, I get it.
There's no harm.
For being.
No, exactly.
No, interesting. All right, let's just leave it back in here. I told him 5 minutes. No worries. You can't get out that way and watch those ball games.
We got that.
All right. Let's gather. Ready,
Just go-
back?
There's a bathtub in the,
We are back.
just in the middle of.
Oh, I lost staff. Oh, we're here. I'm sorry. I said 5 minutes.
That's why we, you know,
Woman of my
get the sand
word.
off your feet from the beach.
All right, we're gonna get started. Okay, close the public hearing. And as promised before the quick break, and thank you all for that. If there was anything our applicant wanted to say specifically in response to any of the comments to us or to any of the commission comments, we want to give you that opportunity before we begin our debate.
Yeah, a lot of people are real passionate about the city. I'm really passionate about the city. I've been coming here since I was a little kid. I grew up in Edwardsburg, Michigan, and we weren't a wealthy family. And our vacations were a day at Silver Beach. And I'm passionate about this town. My mom would pack us a lunch. We would come and park on top of the bluff because it was free all day. And we would walk down to the beach and we'd spend the day there. And that's where I fell in love with Lake Michigan. And as soon as I started TRG, it was, how can I invest in that town? I love that town. And that's when we bought the Rice Block building. And when we bought Rice Block, it was rat infested, literal rats were in that building. And with my own bare hands and sweat and blood, I invested in that building. And we turned it into a nice renovated studio apartment building. And then we had the opportunity to buy the condo that the Janchas owned. And I spent the evenings on the roof watching the sunset, and it's breathtaking. It's beautiful. And I looked down at that grass lot and I said, somebody is going to build something someday on this grass lot. That was foregone. The plans were already in place to build something. There were signs, it's going to happen. It's a private owner. He can build, they can build, and 55 feet high would block all our views. And so if somebody is going to block these views someday, it's going to be me. I'm going to block my own views. And that started the dialogue with the city. And the city said, this is perfectly in line with our master plan. We have to see, we are dying, and we have to see these lots developed. And it is the most prime real estate in the city of St. Joe that is being wasted on a parking lot and a piece of grass. And it's time that we invest in the potential that St. Joe has. And St. Joe is dying. Our age group, our demographic is moving out of this city for better housing options. And we need more housing options to keep this town alive and growing and thriving and capture that potential. Tonight, we're asking for the Planning Commission to be decisive. We are trying to stay on schedule with the project, and we've invested a lot of time into this to try to make sure our package is complete and you have all the information in front of you. And we hope that you'll be able to grant us the special use permit. And I thank you for your time.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you, sir. Thoughts? Comments, thoughts, pleasure, motion?
A quick comment if I could.
This part.
I see the exterior of the building. It looks like 634 feet. Is that correct? The width of the building? That's the number I see here at the bottom. Where is it?
That's the elevation is the 6.
Oh, that's the elevation. Okay. So what, Kristen, do you have the frontage of the Whitcomb, the frontage of the hotel? Just as a comparison so we can see the width and the height of the other buildings surrounding it.
Let me look on my phone.
Thank you.
But if you want to go on to other things while I go. I'm gonna look at the Beacon Schneider Berrien County maps. Get that.
Okay. Okay. Just another quick question. It looks like on 3 sides of the building, is that sidewalk that I'm seeing on the west, the north, and the south? I see a colonnade, but then on the outside.
Yep. City sidewalk, then our portico in addition to that.
Okay, and I don't see, is it 8 feet? Is the colonnade 8 feet?
Yes.
Mhm.
We'll wait on your, we're gonna wait on.
You got it.
Kristen's looking. Other thoughts, comments, questions for staff?
So I guess, what I'm looking at is, right, what we're considering is, are the benefits substantial enough to allow this change, this height allowance? I was kind of hoping for more answers to understand some of the advantages that are or could be there. The biggest thing that I'm struggling with is the intensity of this development. I'm not saying the intensity couldn't be properly managed, but a project this size would bring a new intensity of use into downtown. I think it's an attractive project. I think it's very good looking. I think that it could fit in with the appearance of town relative to the Whitcomb or the Bistro or the Boulevard. I just wish I could understand some of those advantages to see how they weigh into this intensity. I know that, we're going to make a recommendation, and I think there's some things that the city commissioners are going to have to strongly consider in their decision, and comparing the intensity of what this development would be with the advantages. And the advantages, this TIF, pretty sure it's an advantage, but I think the city might want to have more answers in front of them. Understanding that, I think the city is going to want to fully understand how much public parking is going to be available and who is going to have jurisdiction over that parking. If the city has jurisdiction to police and ticket and whatever, I think that's important for them to know. I think it's going to be important for the city to understand what public areas are going to be public. We heard about a colonnade that's going to have some public areas, and there's some areas that I'm sure won't be public, maybe would be part of a restaurant. But I think it would be important for the city to understand what areas are public. And for the city to understand how that alley would consolidate with a project like this. Right now, that alley has carts, trash carts. There's a recycle dumpster in the parking lot that would have to be worked out on the city level on how that could be consolidated with a development like this. That's what I think is important in front of us.
All right. Thank you. Any luck?
Yes, I do. So the library is about 200 feet long facing Lake Boulevard. I know you didn't ask for that one.
Yep.
Lake Boulevard there's a dimension that it says it's 132, but using the measurement tool, I would say it's more like 150, 150. The Whitcomb facing Ship Street is 132 feet approximately, and then if you measure the tallest part going north along the alley, which is also visible from Lake Boulevard, it's about 170 feet, 160 to 170. Any other buildings?
I don't know. Did anyone have any other buildings they'd like to? Okay. It helps for context. Other thoughts, other comments? Ladies and gentlemen, do we have a motion?
Just in response to Aaron a little bit, I mean, what's before us is 80 feet versus 55. If there was a building there 55 feet, I think a lot of the alley concerns would still be the alley concerns. So does the extra vertical footage increase the impact on that alley? Where you're required to have ground floor commercial. So if that, regardless of what got developed there, you're going to have additional traffic in that alley. That's something that's obviously gonna have to be worked out, over time. So, I mean, for me, the difference in that height isn't impacted by a lot of those other issues, thinking that, okay, if you build 55 feet here, all of those issues are still in play. That makes some semblance of sense.
It makes sense, Mr. Trevor.
I'll make a comment.
Mr.
The property owner to the north, it would be helpful had the other property owners adjacent got up, because that was impactful, because you will be directly impacted. And you're for this project, so that's helpful.
If you don't mind, Ride Ups has spoken publicly at previous.
And they're supportive of it.
And expressed it.
Okay.
Yeah, you understand that, that's just, we don't have that.
Yeah, and so
And isn't that the representative, the DDA is in the back? Is that?
I have no idea.
Is DDA supportive of this?
The DDA has looked at this a number of times and they fully support as it relates to the goals and objectives of the city.
Thank you. Okay. I'm excited about redeveloping a piece of property that has been sitting there for a long time. And I would agree, every time I go by it, I'm thinking, why does this thing sit here? And I'm always asking that question. And one of the reasons I got on the planning commission is to help spark some redevelopment downtown. And I agree with you from Cornerstone that this is something that can help initiate the redevelopment of downtown. My concern is the height. What I'm learning here is that the zoning is that we can allow up to 80 feet. So we're not changing anything. It's just that it needs a special use permit from 50 because it's in excess of 55 feet. So I'm in support of this project. I'm in support of sparking some development, and I'm excited by your excitement for actually taking the risk to do it, because I know some of the owners of that property, and my question to them was always, why aren't you doing anything? And they're always going, we tried one time and we were not successful because it was saying no. And we want to get from saying no to saying yes, let's let's spark some interest here. So I, for one, am in support of it.
Thank you, Mr. Hart. Anybody else?
I'll make a comment.
Ms. Bursek.
So, you know, when you said you wanted a 15-foot on the first floor, I was like, well, I could get down to 11. The 9.5, pretty much you can't lower. You could take a couple feet off the other usage floors. You know, that at the roof line of 76.5, if I did my math right, it's only a difference, you know, I thought I could get it down to 70.5, I think, or so. What's it gonna do in terms of not blocking a view? 55 feet is already gonna block the view. 55 is what's allowed. I am a little bit, I wanna go back to the one person that addressed the page 36 in the master plan, because Kristen, you did look that up, right? The mention of the shorter buildings along, is that, so if that was in the master plan, then it's in direct conflict with the
It's
55
in the
feet?
downtown vision master plan, and
which
It's
is
just a
different
recommendation.
from the master plan.
Okay, I'm
They're
so-
getting used interchangeably there. not
Oh,
the same.
okay,
It's not
it was
from-
the downtown, not
It's
the,
the down.
okay, thank
Downtown
you for
vision.
clarifying that, because we were heavily involved with the master plan, and I didn't recall that. I recall all of us feeling that parking lots along the bluff are, it's a valuable asset, and it shouldn't be used for parking. So, you know, I still wish, you know, you could lower it a little. If that works out in the final process, but 55 feet's already gonna block everyone's view, and I feel bad about that, but unfortunately, anyone that could have come in 55 feet, not even had any of these meetings and just got it approved, so, you know, it's unfortunate that we can't all have a view and, you know, maintain those views, so, I would hope that, you know, the developer could work, as best they can to minimize the conflicts during the you know, the construction for all parties involved.
Thank you, Ms. Burzak. Ladies and gentlemen, what is your pleasure?
I'll make a motion.
Mr. Europe,
Motion to approve special use permit for the property known as 315 Lake Boulevard pursuant to the City of St. Joseph zoning ordinance, Article 11, special conditional use regulations, and Article 9, Section 9.4 DHOD downtown height overlay district to increase allowable building height from 55 feet to 80 feet in the D downtown district to allow a 7-story mixed-use building with below-grade parking based on the application prepared by the applicant and consisting of 9 sheets of building elevations drawings along with a 1-page site plan and 5 pages of renderings, all prepared by Appen Marsh and included in the October 2nd, 2025 Planning Commission agenda packet as a request meets the required standards under section 11.5.2 and sections 9.4.2.b.2 and 9.4.2.d of the zoning ordinance with the condition that a site plan meeting all requirements of the zoning ordinance be submitted, reviewed, approved prior to any building permits being issued.
all right, I have a motion from Mr. Europe. Just hang on a second, Kristen. We may need to make one amendment. One is the site plan in the packet to include the document that we were provided here today.
That too, and then, the new rendering is dated 9/30/2025.
Okay, that's the one we want to reference.
We want to reference that also.
So when you said, in other words, in the motion, we said in the October 2nd packet we received in reference to your motion, we want to include the rendering and site plan dated September 30th, 2025 in your motion.
Yes.
So your motion is amended to include that. Does that cover that?
Yes.
Okay, so I have a motion by Mr. York. Do I have support for his motion? Ms. Rice supports the motion. Pardon me. Is there further discussion of the motion? Mr. Evans?
I would, for clarity, I would simply point out that 2 of the sheets in the reference documents are Fishbeck sheets and not Abbenmarsh sheets. Just for clarity, those being 2C-1 and 2C-2.
Intended to be included though is in the packet as far as
Yes.
the motion is conducted.
It's,
The motion is.
it's just not that they're all from Abbenmarsh.
Yeah, that's correct. Any other discussion? Clerk, take all the roll.
Mr. Ulrich,
Yes.
Ms. Rice,
Yes.
Ms. Porter,
Yes.
Mr. Hartzell.
Yes.
Mr. Eber.
Yes.
Ms. Burzak,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Motion is approved 8-0. This item is a recommendation to the city commission. The city commission will be conducting another public hearing. You will receive notice of that, similar to what we did this.
Do you have an anticipated date?
I believe it'll be October 27th.
All right.
At 6:30.
All right, thank you. Old business. Anything, Kristen, for us under old business?
No.
What's coming
I
to
don't
us
have-
on the November meeting
the-
agenda?
Yeah,
What do
I
we,
don't have any, I haven't heard from anybody.
when's the cutoff?
The cutoff is Friday the tenth. The only thing I might have out there would be a request from Dunkin' Donuts for modification to their pole sign. They're
Okay.
doing a facade improvement and major upgrades to the building similar to Wendy's. And they needed to upgrade the sign, so they're still deciding what.
So that's the only thing you know of though that's in the wind?
If that comes, yeah.
Okay.
When's the
And
deadline?
where are we at on some of our statutory
The 10th.
ordinance projects that we may need to start getting back to? There's Chuck.
I haven't really done much with that. There was a request by a city commissioner regarding lot coverage. So I've done
Folks,
extensive
folks, I'm
research.
gonna ask everybody, just, if you just hold it down a little bit. We still got a couple of things to do. Thank you. Go ahead, Kristen, say again.
Extensive research on lot coverage and it all evolved into decks also. So I don't know what's happening with that right now. And then, I believe likely there'll be a request from the city commission, and I don't know this for sure. I'm working on a memo to the planning commission to request, it's going to the city commission and then we'll see what happens. To have the planning commission look at adding additional, changing the zoning ordinance to allow accessory dwelling units or possibly some communities are going to allowing 2 units per residential property rather than 1 or 3 units or 4 units, so. Looking at other avenues to add additional dwelling units. But I will be out of the office for about 2 weeks in the middle of October, so I don't know. how
Well,
much- Yeah.
The desk will be at least
Yeah.
generally covered in terms of needing things that need to get on for November. Okay. All right, anything else from commissioners? Questions for staff? Anything staff for us? Ladies and
I have a
gentlemen?
comment. I
Yes.
just want to thank staff for the efficiency and completeness of
Yeah,
the packets.
absolutely.
Very helpful and beneficial and all the time and effort, and it's really appreciated. Makes us all look better.
And the thoroughness of the
Yes.
staff input.
Yes, definitely. Appreciate everyone's input,
Indeed, indeed, it is a help to be sure.
definitely.
All right, if there's nothing further from anybody, nothing from staff, do I have a motion to
I'll
adjourn?
make a motion. to
Ms. Burzak, I
adjourn.
will recognize you for that motion. Do I have support for that motion? Ms. Rice supports the motion. Discussion on the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Same sign. We are adjourned. Thank you all.
Good job. Take care of that.
Oh, I